everybody. A lefty was here in spirit. Hey, Eva. Hey, Madison.
Hello.
So, Matt and I would just like the world to know, Fox, I hope you're here, that we have more justifiable evidence that sibling cages are perfectly fine and, in fact, needed.
Encouraged.
Encouraged. After the writing retreat, we didn't hear from Matt for a couple days. I assumed he was moving in and was just super busy.
I was also doing that.
In the chat, and he's like, "Hey, so my sister and her boyfriend were in the hospital. Hey, RP." And I was like, "Oh, well, they're doing good now." And then, yesterday, my sister, hey, Kelly, was also in the hospial. So Matt and I are like, the sibling cages are starting to look.
You bring them back,
They can't take care of themselves. It's time.
No. You know how many times I've been to the hospital? Less than my sister. So, to the cage.
Less times than my sister. Okay, what cages who? All right, Eva. Let me. Oh, speaking of party people, next Monday is the quarterly party. I have forgotten who will be there, and Fox hasn't made the thumbnail yet for my easy reference.
I believe I will.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you will, Tina.
It's a month of Tina, which is also my last month of being 29, which is fun.
Oh, the writing author tube writing conference is on your birthday. I just realized. Jeez, it took all of 15 seconds. Look, RP, I literally told Matt, I'm like, we're going to go live, and that's the first thing I'm going to bring up. Because we were backstage, we were sharing details, but our sisters probably don't want us sharing medical details on live. So I was just like, very vaguely, we're going to explain why sibling cages feel like a good idea today. And for Eva, so basically, there was this dating sim. I know it's called Amnesia. It's on the PSP, and my husband started playing it because he is a trophy whore, and he wanted all of the trophies for the game, but he wasn't really interested in the game. And I was like, "Oh, dating sim, let me play it." So I was earning him all the trophies. Well, there's it was card game themed, so each suit was a different romance path. I forget which suit he was, but there's this one boy who he's in his timeline, he's your childhood friend, and while you two are hanging out and stuff, you have a stalker, and this stalker is trying to kill you actively. They send threatening things to your mailbox. They've painted stuff on your door in blood. This horror. Your headphones?
Yeah.
Yeah, right here, I think. Are these them?
Yes.
Do you want your other pair?
Yes.
Here you go. You're welcome. My middle got a computer for his birthday, so now he's moving all his computer stuff to his room. But yeah, so it's actually kind of interesting because through part of the timeline, you're trying to figure out if he's the stalker or not. He's not. He was actually trying to hide the stalker stunts from you. He was he was trying to clean up your mailbox and to clean your wall and stuff. It just kind of made him look really suspicious. So it was going fine until you get stabbed and almost die.
That tends to ruin things.
Yep.
And then he becomes a little unhinged, and he kidnaps you, and he puts you in a cage. And I was telling Fox about the game when I played it, and Fox and I were in agreement that romantic interest should in fact not cage you against your will, and then make you into basically their doll that they feed and potentially do other things too. And he said something, and I'm like, well, now hold on. If he actually just loved me like I was his sister, if this was a sibling thing, I could understand it. This, in fact, horrified Fox. He could not believe that I would think of putting my sisters in a cage to save them from their own stupidity when a stalker's trying to murder them. The context is very important to me. And So he is also friends with my little sister. So we brought my little sister into the call. Well, first of all, he just messaged her, and he was like, Tabby, would you be okay with Sam putting you in a cage? My sister, because we are in fact related, goes, what are the circumstances? She needed details to figure out whether or not she would forgive me. And after he was like, someone's trying to kill you, and she's putting you in the cage for your own good. And Tabby's like, why would she need to do that? And I was like, Tabby, what you must understand is you would not listen in this circumstance. You would not listen to me, and you kept going outside. And then you got stabbed. So there's nothing left for me to do except put you in a cage.
You
and she's
have
like,
no other option.
yeah. And she goes, can I still use my computer? I'm like, yeah, I'll set it up real nice for you. And she's like, and I need to use the bathroom, not in the cage. I'm like, I'll walk you to the bathroom, handcuff you, but we'll go. And she's like, okay, it's fine.
Yeah. I think that's rational. I think that's rational and good.
Also spoke to our baby sister about this, who I love it because we started the conversation much the same way, where it was like, hey, would you forgive us if we caged you? And she was like, why? And we told her, and she's like, yeah, no, that sounds reasonable. She just like, she had this sigh of acceptance that of the three of us, she would in fact be the one most likely to need to be protected against her own stubbornness. So he, to this day, though, refuses to accept and just questions everything. And it's great because anytime I talk to Chat about it, Chat is usually on my side and concerns Fox so much.
Yeah.
I told my grandma about it, and my grandma was just like, well, it depends on your relationship with your siblings. She says, if my brothers did that to me, I would stab them. And she's like, but if you have a good relationship with your sibling, yeah. So Kelly said, I, for one, am very happy to have a month of Tina. Yeah.
So sweet.
And right, the cage came the very next day. The cage couldn't stay away. You know, I would imagine being stabbed with things for you. Yeah,
I guess it depends on the things.
And if you're into it or not. I don't talk to any of my siblings, but I'm sure some of them would put me in a cage. It's fair. I know, right? I love my sisters. The internet is dangerous. Are you sure internet is okay? The internet is not okay. But if you're in a cage, isn't it easier for the stalker to find you and then you can't run away? No, because I am guarding the cage.
Right, yeah, like they would have to then get through Sam.
Some additional detail is that he told her to like wait in her apartment. No, I don't know. He told her to wait in an apartment, either hers or his. But she was supposed to wait in the apartment while he went to go get them food. And the main character, she's just like, you know what? I'm sure it's fine. Let me just leave to go do something. Like, even though she knew there was a stalker trying to kill her, she's just like, fine.
What you need the cage for.
Like, I was with the boyfriend up until he caged her, and then he got real weird. And I'm like, no, sir.
Yeah, no. Can't do it if you're a boyfriend. Can't do it if you're a sibling.
Siblings are allowed to do a lot of things that I would never allow a significant other to do. There are boundaries and consent. I love it. Exactly. Fewer places to stalk. Do the stalk. No, because then the stalker's got to come in my house.
Exactly. The stalker's coming to you, and you pick him out.
Hopping in to hit the like button, but I can't really stand it. I just want to know what part, if any.
I was going to say a great part for you to join in on.
In unrelated news, I bought myself Volume 2 of the Yakuza's Bias because I remembered it existed. Which is about, for those who don't know, Yakuza are like the Japanese gang, or Japanese organized crime. And it's told from the point of view, like the main character is this Yakuza bodyguard, and he has to take the leader's daughter out to do something, and she's like a really big K-pop fan. And through talking to her, he comes to admire and respect K-pop bands in general. Oh, what is his? He has a really cute Twitter handle. It's something like it has the word Yakuza in it, but then it also has a K-pop fandom name in it. And he becomes so like active and stuff, and everybody like kind of thinks his Yakuza thing is just a gimmick, but that he's like adorable when he does it, so it's great. At some point in Volume 1, we discovered that like his ultimate Yakuza rival is also a fan of the band.
Aww.
Because they were because they each needed these limited edition cards, and so they set up a meet to swap cards. That's when they saw each other and they realized. And our MC, he's just like, you do admire and respect the hard work. Because like he sees parallels between the K-pop band's hard work, dedication, and brotherhood, which like he sees parallels between that and the brotherhood, loyalty, and dedication within the Yakuza family. I haven't read Volume 2 yet because like I just bought it yesterday or Saturday, but I was like browsing through the very beginning to try like just to read the first couple pages to see if I would need to reread the first one, because I got the first one like last year, 1 or 2 years ago. I want to say it was just last year though, but who knows with time. And at the very beginning of it, he and the boss's daughter were going to go to a concert together, but she can't go to the concert anymore because of school thing. So he like went on his Twitter or Weibo, I forget which one he's using, but he's using one of the social medias to see if anybody like wants to go with him. And his rival sees the tweet and he's like, that's the concert I couldn't get tickets to. And he's like, but that's my rival. And I'm like, oh, I can't start reading it now. But it's such lighthearted, good, silly fun. It's gonna be my reward for when I catch up on the year of readathon books. I'm like, I gotta stay motivated. Also, this is also reading related. So Books A Million is hosting this. Well, it is partnered with Wings of Fire, which is a middle grade series, I think, middle grade or YA. And they're doing like this summer adventure reading thing where basically they read 4 books from the list and they get a hat while supplies last. Chris and I informed our children that if they are out of hats or want something other than the hat, we would get them something else. But so the kids went through the list. All 4 of my children picked The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman, because they remember the audiobook, but they don't remember enough of it, so they want to read the physical book. And I'm like, that's fair. I think all 3 of them also picked Coraline. And I'm like, I see a pattern. I feel like that is the beginning of an epic romance. That's what I want it to be an enemies to bros. Hey, hello. My 6-year-old on book fair day reads entire 16 chapter books. My kid every other day I'll read on Wednesday. My kid on Wednesday reads 1 page. I feel that. One of the things I loved that they noticed is like when one of them was looking through the list, because Wings of Fire is a scholastic book, so a lot of books on the list were scholastic books. And so they would be like, oh, my teacher had this one, my teacher had that one. They're like, oh, I've seen these ones at the book fair. I'm like, I feel like you're gonna have seen a lot of them at the book fair. And I had them look at I was very strategic. I had them look at this list library day, so we could see if the library had any of them. And my youngest, she was just like, oh, well, I own those 2, but I haven't read them yet, so I'll put them on my list. And I was like, that's how you shrink your TBR.
No, I remember I don't know if anyone else had this, but like if you had like library class in elementary school, they would show like a trailer for the book fair the week before the book fair, and like the
Yes.
individual books would have like trailers,
That
Mm-hmm.
that explains a lot of things. Okay,
right?
because
Go on, Tina.
because we did not have those, but I have seen like I've watched like YouTube videos that like review like books, right?
Mhm.
Especially like
Mhm.
YA from the 2000s, and they'll be like, here's the book trailer, and I was like,
Yeah,
why book trailer? Now I know why book trailer. And now I'm upset that we didn't see any when I was in school. All
yeah,
we
they
had
were
were
sick. They were so cool. But the problem with them is that they made me think that
the book had a
like
movie.
well, not that necessarily the book had a movie, but that all books had like professional trailers that I would see like on TV, like during a commercial break, that they would show a trailer for a book.
That would be dope, though.
It would be so cool,
If
and
they
I
had
thought for the
dope-
longest
if they
time
had
that it did
books.
happen. And I was always just like, well, they probably don't show it on like Nickelodeon Cartoon Network because kids don't read. But I bet on like CNN they have commercials for all kinds of books. As luck would have it, they don't.
I want that, though.
I know. I want to live in a world where books get like
Commercials.
90-second trailers that air during
I
primetime
don't-
television.
I don't necessarily think they need to be 90 seconds because with some books, like that's the whole. I mean,
That's the
I
whole
have
thing.
that problem with movies too. But
Yeah.
finally finished Gideon the Ninth after years of it being on my TBR. Yes, I started. What's the second one? Not Nona. Haro. I started Haro the Ninth. I haven't finished it yet though.
You haven't
Yeah.
been messaging me about it?
No, because I started it like 2 months ago and I messaged you when I started it, but then the month rolled over and so I needed to read my May, and then you know what happened in May.
How
So-
am I supposed to
I
not
know.
be able to screenshot your messages and send them to my buddy reader for the
will.
Watch Tube series?
Look, I'm catching up. I promise. I'm gonna read it. But what did you like, and who's your favorite character?
Yes.
Have you made
And
a
also,
trailer
did you
for your
read the
own
extra
book or what?
story? Because there is an extra story for each novel, and the one for the first one is really good. Hold on, I
believe
can pull
I
up the title. It's very funny.
Eva said, "Have you made a trailer for your own book or whip?" I will. Okay.
You know,
So, as many know, I have self-published 2 books before, which is why. But I've also unpublished them, which is why I say that Save Her Soul is my re-debut. But I did have book trailers for my original novels. They do in fact still exist on YouTube, and I'm proud to say that the music for them was custom done.
Oh.
Because at the time I was voice acting in mods, and I was friends with one of the with the composer, who like was going to school for some like one of those fancy financial degrees. He just composed music on the side because he was like, it's just my hobby. It's how I relax. And I'm like, sir. But I do think he has released an album by now. But yeah, so I did. And when Save Her Soul comes out, I do plan on doing another book trailer and also getting custom music for it. So
Yeah, I have every intention
I'm
of
still
doing
friends with him on Discord, so I just got to see if he still does things.
I kind of do a little trailer every time One Mystery Treat updates, except not the last time because I forgot. I have to do that sometime today, where I show like a little phone, and then in the little phone you could see the comic scrolling, but only for a little bit. And I had one where I had to post just a photo landscape like of the phone because I was like, there's too many spoilies, there's too much good stuff in here, I can't show you all the good stuff, so I'm only going to show you one panel. And also
Oh, sorry.
before we get into more locked
Yeah.
tube stuff, the side story is called The Mysterious Study of Dr. Sex, and it's so good. Um,
All right, Rowan says I also started and haven't finished Haro the Ninth. That's fair. Look, it's not just the second person POV, Rowan. That whole, like, at least the beginning where I got that mind fuck, where you don't know what was real and what wasn't real, and now you gotta figure out things. I was gonna say something, but it's like spoily for anybody. But I'm gonna just say, did someone even exist? Were they even a real person? That's what we got to figure out now. You're gonna share them? No. However, if you find them, I will not deny their existence. I will not be going out of my way to do them. I love Haro so much. She's my favorite girl failure. She's horrible, but has done nothing wrong ever. Tina can attest to this, but in fact, Haro was one of, if not my favorites, pretty much since the beginning. I was so intrigued by her.
Mine has always been Camilla. And
She's
Cal.
good one.
So good.
I love the atmosphere. Adult gothic fantasy is my niche, I think. It's sci-fi fantasy, I think. Yeah, because it's like super. Because it's like they're set on planets and stuff, and they go in spaceships. So I believe it's sci-fi fantasy. I'm not prepared.
While you become prepared, I'm going to show off a housewarming gift that I got.
Oh, yes.
Which is this 3D printed plant. And watch this. The leaves come right off and can serve as coasters.
That's
like the perfect Virgo gift right there.
Right? It's so it's pretty
and it's practical.
Mwah. 3D
custom
printed.
Made.
Custom made. Gorgeous. Stunning.
No, well, just for clarity, I wasn't excluding it from being a fantasy. I was also adding sci-fi to the list, and then I was like, then my brain was just going, technically, when you're genrering something, you should only do 2 or the top 3 genres. So then my brain was just trying to prioritize which 3 I wanted to say. But yeah, no, it's definitely like fantasy, sci-fi, gothic-ish. That is a very cool gift.
Yeah.
Fun fact, the actual plant is called the Swiss cheese plants.
Yeah, highly recommend befriending people with 3D printers because they're able to make cool stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'll put that at the top of my requirement.
Yeah, your next
round of applications.
Yep, put that on there. Or at least bring it up in the interview process.
Heyo. All right. My dinner has just gotten here with excellent timing. So we will go into our first sprint.
What is dinner?
Taco Bell today.
Oh,
nice.
Love it.
I had sushi.
I had grilled chicken sandwiches and pasta salad.
Nice.
Nice. Chat, let us know what you all had for dinner.
Yes, please.
And we'll see you in 30.
You had.
Bye. Oh, yes, fair point. Just whatever your last nourishment was.
Yeah.
Can work, yeah. What did everybody work on and how did they do? I ate dinner and then I continued reading Wicked Fox, which, y'all, when YA is written with teenagers who like act like teenagers, it's just great. They're so funny, so dumb, but also smart. Like, it's just an interesting stage of life to me. And this one is about, she's a Gumiho, and he's just a human boy, but they've become connected and whatnot. And like one of the things, like the scene that I just read, she's all like, I'm not used to trusting people with my secrets. And he's like, yeah, well, I already know a lot of them, so you might as well take advantage of a willing listener. And she's like, you had a point. I'm like, so simple. Also, I don't trust the shaman friend. Pretty sure they're sus as fuck. I don't care what the extremely biased narrative is trying to sell me. They're a cinnamon roll who just wants to help. I call bullshit. I'll let y'all know if I'm right.
I am working on a playlist for D&D session I'm running on a Friday. They have a big combat coming up, and I like to make playlists for like narratively important combats.
Mood music, yeah. Also, I've had to appease my goblin. Which, my favorite character in the book, well, like, the MCs are up there with my favorite characters, but my favorite non-MC character is a Dakobi, which is they are a type of goblin in Korean mythology that, like, the way they're created is basically an object gains so much human emotion, it becomes sentient and, like, turns into a Dakobi. And, I don't know what object he was, but he's great. He's like, he's kind of like an old merchant that the Gumiho and the shaman, they like go to him for stuff, and like when they first see him, they're like, they're like, sir, the fuck kind of Dakobi you are? You're not ugly. And he's like, this is a fair point. I am the handsome type of Dakobi. And they're like, sounds sus, but whatever, sir. And he's like, yeah, the fuck you want. So,
I posted the announcement for the page of One Mr. Treat that was posted a week ago because I kept forgetting to post the announcement. But no, you can see the date, like, and also it was a great opportunity to be like, "Whoops, sorry," but the next page is coming on Saturday, so good news, you don't have to wait that long.
That double chrome.
But yeah, and then I've just been eating some chips and guac, working a little bit on the newest page, listening to a single song on repeat because I've become obsessed with it. You know,
what song?
It's Tokyo Rose by Blame My Youth. Let me see if I can find the video for. I haven't actually seen the music video, but it looks cute. I found it on Instagram.
RP had chicken patties and ramen noodles for dinner.
Oh.
Nice.
And he let Tina know that she was unmuted. Matt, I feel like every single time you push your hair back, you look Gustave Courbet's The Desperate Man.
Yeah, I looked that up.
I've sent you that picture before.
I think you probably have, because it did look familiar. And
every time.
I have to agree. We have a similar energy.
Even at the writing retreat where we were taking photos, you did it, and I immediately was like, "There's a painting."
Yeah.
I make that face often.
Rowan had Wingstop lemon pepper wings with carrots and celery. Best combo.
Delicious.
Sounds good. Eva is lurking on Twitter. Kelly fed herself dinner.
Heck yeah.
What was dinner? Rowan did 433 words. Nice.
Nice.
RP revised 10 words. Almost done. Yeah.
Nice. Now I want carrots and celery.
I don't remember. What did you read? Graveyard book. Okay, you want to tell me about the graveyard book? Okay, tell me about the graveyard book.
A person is involved. They smell baby, so they follow the scent.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay.
I like the smack. That was really good.
I found that because this is my first live stream from the new place, and my bedroom isn't really set up yet, so I didn't want to stream from my desk. And streaming from a couch, I don't know how to sit.
Yeah.
You do
I
look
feel
like
that.
you're auditioning for something.
Yeah,
Like it looks like an audition tape.
with the plain white background and the plain white couch.
Mhm.
To be fair, I do have pillows for the couch. They're just not in frame.
They are cute.
I got both of them for $12.
Oh, that's
At
not bad.
Big
That's
Lots. I'm
nice.
like, let's go. Use the code Matt Hollon to get 15% off your Big Lots order. I love that the code in this one is just my name. Like, I don't think that's usually what affiliate codes are.
Oh, actually, a lot of
Okay,
times
I've
it's just
seen
like
that.
the person's internet handle, and then it's like,
Yeah.
If your name's short enough.
it's like type in writing mom 10% to get 10%.
Yeah.
So, because that's like the easy way for them to
Yeah.
customize it. A chicken sandwich that had chipotle.
Mm.
That
Aioli.
word and some.
Did you
Thank
dip
you.
it in the
Spicy
soup?
potatoes. Yeah, you should.
Because that's probably pretty great, right? This weekend.
I just fake yelled "what" in her face, and then she just taps my chin with her nose.
She goes, stop that.
Like, no more.
But no, this weekend, speaking of food, naturally, we went out for my sister-in-law's birthday, and we went to this restaurant that did like small plates and stuff. So it was one of those where like everyone ordered like a few things, and then everyone shares.
Family style.
Yeah, so good. Got crispy pork belly, like, and it was
That's
phenomenal.
one of my favorite things about working conventions is because my boss and his sister we always order family style, so we just order a bunch of entrees that everybody shares.
Nice.
We did something slightly similar at the writing retreat where we all shared.
Yeah, I love sharing food.
Excuse you. The fuck is wrong with you? You know better than that. No. Now you're in trouble. Sit there. She grabbed my headphone cord and started chewing on it, which she does not chew on cords, so I don't know why she started doing that.
It was
Now
just too
she's in trouble.
tempting.
I don't know if she knows she's in trouble, but
She's giving herself the misbehaving bath.
she's like, oh, I'm so ashamed. Let me wash away my sins. Instead of doing anything productive, let me tell you, the heat has been murdering my stamina. I feel so great and full of energy and stuff, and then we leave the house, and then I come back, and I'm just like, I'm not moving again.
Yeah.
For 8 years. And so during I was going to read Times, but instead watched YouTube videos. I was watching different 2000s or 90s grunge video thing, different people react. One of them was millennials react to no, it was try to figure out, or no, it was songs that you forgot existed. And they were all 90s grunge songs. I watched several of them, and then one of them was guess the song, and they play 3 seconds of the song, and then they play 5 seconds of the song. I got about half of those right.
I'm usually pretty good at those.
I fail at the try not to sing challenges. I just cannot. The only time I succeed is if I don't know the song.
No,
Like,
yeah,
one of the songs on those was "Thanks for the Memories," and I'm like,
banger.
how can a 90s grunge girly not sarcastically go, "Thanks for the memories"? They taste like you, only sweeter. Such a... I don't even know the rest of the song, but that part is so great.
At my work, we take turns being like basically the DJ for the playlist. But the thing is that like there's different sections, but one section you could hear the music through the whole building, and that section only has 3 people working and in it, and one he usually has the playlist because the other 2 are pretty like meh about having their own, and he always has just like emo hits. Like
Yeah.
for a good like 2 months now, he's been obsessed with Paramore. But it's a thing of, he explained to me one time that because I asked him something about the playlist, I can't remember exactly what, but he explained that like when he is like getting close to a deadline, he has a like harder version of the playlist. And today I was like, this playlist is going hard. Like, I guess
he must have a deadline. Kelly said my friends and I just went out to a Korean barbecue that had a hot plate in the middle. We would go to the buffet and get different meats to cook. Everything had different marinades. Oh yeah, Korean barbecue.
There's a Korean barbecue restaurant opening up in my town, and I cannot wait for it to open because there's not currently one anywhere near me, and the only time I've ever had Korean barbecue was in New York. And I'm
it's
so good. I need it near me.
Bulgogi is like my favorite. We take the kids to the all-you-can-eat one. My children don't normally eat tons of food, but let me tell you, they will pack that bulgogi and brisket in. I'm like, this is when they get all their meat in for the year.
Speaking of buffets, as a small child, I mean, this is for as long as I have had memory, I have absolutely loved Asian cuisine. And as a child, like a little fella, my parents would take me to the Chinese buffet in town, and they, at the time, the rule was kids 4 and under ate for free. They would bring me in there, and the employees would be like, "Is he under 4?" And they're like, "Yeah, he's 3." And they're like, "Okay, he's eaten like 4 plates of food.
Doesn't matter."
And they're like, "You didn't say." And like they would like literally like, if I was ever like remotely like by myself, they'd be like, "How old are you?" Like, and I'd be like, "This many?" Like, and they're like, "All right, this kid seems legit, but I'm suspicious because there's no way a 3-year-old is eating this much."
Bro, the people at CC's Pizza should be suspicious. My like older 2 are almost as tall as me, and Chris still tells the people that they're 10. But to be fair, one of them just turned 11, and he is the bigger one. But I'm like, babe, you can't keep doing that. He's like, I'm gonna do it till they catch me. The children, which is kind of funny because the kids, they were like, what do we do? I'm like, you don't have to lie. Just don't out dad. And they're like, okay. So they know. Me and the children were like, we will not be part of these criminal activities. We just walk past him.
The manager's just like, these kids have been 10 for years. They must have been born on a leap year.
The next leap year comes around and they're like, okay, kids.
That can't be 10 anymore.
It's been 4 years. One of them, because they've gotta, technically, they're allowed to be at the thing by themselves if they're 12 or older. So our oldest kind of doesn't want to be 10 anymore. He's old enough to go to the thing unsupervised. So I'm like, that's between you and your father.
Dad, I don't want to be 10 anymore. You're 10.
Like, you don't understand. And like, they eat enough now that they could pay adult prices, but It's so.
What is that? Is that a napkin or a
Is it a
sandwich?
napkin? It does look like a
Or a
napkin.
towel?
It's a washcloth.
For a second, I
Last
thought it was
time-
like a sandwich on
No,
very
last
white
time-
bread.
It's the whitest. It's been extra bleached. No, the last time I did laundry, I folded up all of the wash rags and I put them in that corner. So now I just have a pile. So I forgot what they were called for a hot second because y'all kept like making guesses at different things, and I had to Mr. Miyagi to remember what they were called. But no, I grabbed it to mess with her, but then I, in her attempt to run away from it, she almost fell off the chair. Now she knows, though, so she's just kind of ignoring it as best she can.
Straight chilling. I think this is probably the first time I've ever sat cross-legged on stream.
Crisscross applesauce.
Yeah.
I lost a chip
I do
in
it
my
all the time.
shirt for the first time.
You what?
I lost a chip in my shirt and like really picked it up. If you feel free to rewind the tape, people. But it is a thing.
You
Like,
are-
yeah, occasionally your knees come into frame, and I had to go
Yeah,
to sleep,
I
like,
know.
what's that?
Don't find these guys.
Like, they're just here. I keep getting distracted by things. Like, my anxiety went up big time earlier, and then it went away, and I got sad, and then now the sad has gone away, and I'm just out of it. Also, just realized that Artemis must have hit a button that has full screen something on my laptop that I don't want full screen, and I don't know how to undo it. Artemis, what button did you press? Scape is not working. Ah,
No, I
F1
gonna
was not
suggest
the move.
Scape. I'm gonna refill my water. 1 sec.
Well, just so everyone knows, F1 was not the move. Exit that. No, I don't want to leave that site. Wait. Ha 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 ha! I figured it out. I'm just as good as my cat at the computer. You're cursed with the Alt 4F. No. That was going to close the screen, which I don't know if that was your intention, but I don't want to leave the StreamYard. Timer. I was about to set us up a timer. Now the big cinematic, it follows me. I finally got that. All weekend I've had Still Here from League of Legends stuck in my head, and I had finally escaped it. And then YouTube was like, hey, so you know what song you'd probably enjoy? Still Here. And I'm like, you're not wrong. I am like wildly in love with that video too. So for those who like don't know, League of Legends is a video game. It's also a they have a Netflix show called Arcane that was super popular. What I care about Riot for now is their music department, because one of the things that they do with their cinematics is some of their cinematics are literally just they let their artists do whatever they want to like showcase different animation styles, because like it's good promo for their characters in their game regardless. But then like sometimes they put out like cinematics to celebrate the beginning of worlds or other stuff, right? like the game tournament. And Still Here has like a narrative with some of the characters. There's like, it's really cool because there's a past, present, and a future going on in like 3 different timelines in the film, or not film, the video. And in it, there's a character in League called Kindred, which is the lamb and the wolf, even though they both look like wolf things. But I digress. I don't know why she's called the lamb. She looks like a wolf. She's wearing a wolf and or fox mask. But they are symbolic of death, right? So they're like the personification of death in the lore. And in the video, like at different parts, you kind of see their silhouettes and stuff. So like, you know that like this character probably died, or like this character like is on the verge of death or something. Well, 2 characters that I really loved, Tryndamere and Ash. Tryndamere is a berserker. He was like cursed with blood magic, so that like when he's near death, he can go into like this immortal rage so that he can't be killed for a certain amount of time. And Ash is his wife. They started out as like a political marriage, but like they fell in love with each other. They were the first official canon couple in League of Legends. And well, in the video, you see Tryndamere, and he's like surrounded by a bunch of bandit enemies. And then he activates his rage, and then he's sitting there and he's fighting Kindred. So it's like super symbolic of he's literally fighting against death, but he's able to like, you know, he breaks death's bow and stuff. It is just like so badass because like it leaves you with this uncertain, is death just symbolic and he's fighting the bandits? But then at the end, when you don't see death anymore, there's still like wolf claw marks on his pauldron. So you're like, wait, but maybe both, right? Well, when he's like about to like, when the lamb, she's like lifting her bow to like kill Tryndamere, but then she stops and she lowers it, and because I played Ash and I know all of her attacks and stuff, you see these like 3 arrows come out, and I'm like, oh, that's Ash's volley! And then like these arrows shoot past, and Tryndamere's whole face just sort of stops. And Chris expressed it like, for those who have seen How to Train Your Dragon, that part where when he goes, "You're as beautiful as the day I lost you," that's fucking the facial expression. That's the amount of love and appreciation and admiration in the face. And my little shipper heart dies because it's overloaded. I'm like, oh, she saved him from death, and he knows, and now they're so cute, and then they're gonna fight side by side. And like that plus the music, all just, it's just is so good. And it has lived rent free in my head for like 3 weeks. And I just got rid of it, and now it's back.
And now it's back. Love that for you.
So good. I'm gonna link it. Everyone must know.
Everyone needs to know the ways.
And I know it won't necessarily mean the same because like there's not the same connection to the characters, but it's still a good cinematic. And there's also a guy who he breaks down the lore in it. And I love the intro to his video, because the intro to his video is like, if you've seen this and you have no idea about any of these characters and you're like, oh, this was really cool, but you want to know, here is how I will explain it to you. So, but I love their things. The past timeline is also like really interesting because, again, it has one of the characters that I liked to play a lot, Morgana. And Morgana and Kayle are angels who their mother was like the symbol of justice. And then I don't know if she died or she retired, but she like broke her sword and had like, she got, her sword went from 1 to 2, and she gave 1 to each of her daughters. And like Kayle is like lawful good and Morgana is not. And there's this whole thing between those two, and how Kayle is like basically obsessed with their mom and living up to her things, but because she's like obsessed with the ideal of her, she's actually not as good as a protector as her sister, who delves in magic and stuff, which in the ancient times that was a no-go. So it's just it was nice to see the sisters fighting alongside each other, because they're basically their like drama creates a civil war later on in history. So, but like even at that point, you can see like Kale gives Morgana a judgy look when she sees her using the magic and stuff, and I'm like, bitch, she did more than you in this fight. How dare you be so rude? And the future timeline's about Yasuo, who I don't particularly care about, but that was also cool. Because he's an old man, and he could have stopped that wall of arrows with his wind wall, but he just accepts death. And you see Kindred's arrow fly at him.
Rip.
And this has been me gushing about this video.
Give them your affiliate link.
This video was sponsored by League of Legends.
Hey, they've got some really good animators and bands, man.
Yeah.
Like, Heartsteel is the name of the band. Yes, I forgot what the name of the
Paranoia is the name of the song.
Yeah, thank you. Heartsteel's their newest one.
They have a new one? You didn't tell me.
No, Heartsteel is their newest band.
Oh, I thought you said meaning they have a new song, and I was like,
no.
How could you?
They're like, their original band was Pentakill, and they're a heavy metal band, and they've got like a lot of really good songs. Like they have like several albums, I believe.
That's crazy.
I know. And then their next band, I want to say, well, technically their next musician was Popstar Ari, but Popstar Ari, that was just like a cosmetic skin for one of the characters. But then they took Popstar Ari, let her grow up, and she joined a K-pop band that was arranged, because there's like lore with how the bands became bands, and like Akali and a succubus started the K-pop band, which is, it's funny to me because Ari herself she's a gumiho, so it's technically two different versions of a succubus are in a K-pop band together with an assassin, and I don't know much about the fourth member, except she's got like sci-fi shooty things.
My favorite is the Remix Rumble, because it's basically all of these musical acts, except I don't think the K-pop band is in it. The characters are there, but they're performing on stage. But the stage is it's like the DJ table of a big robotic lady, and her face is the screen.
Oh,
that shows you,
yeah.
and I love that lady.
That's Sona. Sona, she's
I'm gay for that big robot lady.
Sona's like, she's
And
a character who's
Megan
mute,
Thee
but
Stallion.
she plays music. So Megan Thee Stallion. Chris actually just got in a Sona figure, and he was trying to take pictures of her. I forgot, she uses a Chinese string instrument, and he was trying to take pictures of it because like the way they molded the figure is so nice that it has actual strings
Oh damn!
on it, but because of the way that League designed Sona, and because of the way the figure was, her boobs are like these water balloon shape, and they're over the neck of the instrument. So he's like trying to figure out a good way to get a picture of the instrument without it just looking like it's a tip shot. And I saw him going like, and I was like, do you want me to turn, like, do you want a backlight? And he's like, well, maybe, but that's not the problem. I'm like, what's the problem? He's like, I want a picture of I forgot the word of it, and I'm like, okay. And he goes, but soda's soda. And I'm like, oh, titties are in the way. And he's like, yeah.
Oh.
I just got back, Space K-pop and Robot Ladies. Sick. We're talking about the various League of Legends cinematics.
The big robot lady.
Yeah,
the big robot lady.
I want to say that skin is called DJ Sona.
She's like the size of a house. I love her.
Yeah, that's DJ Sona. She's an ultimate skin. In the game, you can actually, I want to say, like, you can activate different beats, and it changes like, it plays music with her walking around and stuff. I know you can, like, change her color. You can make her blue, red, or green. She's an expensive one, because she does lots of things. Oh, League has gotten, like, yelled at by people because they made a skin that costs $500.
Jesus.
It's like, it's a super special skin. They made the skin in honor of Faker, who has been, like, a League of Legends pro since League of Legends started having tournaments and stuff. Like he is one of the best known and widely respected players, and he's won quite a few world championships. Well, like, he and his team, but there are stats that let you know who's the MVP and stuff. And yeah, so they made the skin dedicated to him, and I forgot, it, like, does a lot of different shit.
Yeah.
But, like, a lot of people were getting mad because they're like, $500 for a skin? Because, like, the skins, they're essentially costumes for your character. But some of the skins cost more because they change the effects and stuff, right? So it actually takes more work to make them. And I'm like, look, if you're not a whale, just say you're not a whale and move on. Let the whales have their fun. As long as it's not giving her bonus stats. For those who don't know, whale is a term that you refer to somebody who spends hundreds of dollars on are they called micro purchases?
Microtransactions.
Thank you, microtransactions on games and stuff. I feel whales should be respected as they're the ones that fund my free-to-play game.
Yeah.
Without the whales, I would not be able to play freely. So
Right.
spend your money. I'll say I back when we played League, we spent quite a bit of money on League.
Yeah.
But not $500.
I have a friend that's actually, ironically enough, the same friend that printed this is really into League, but that's one I've never played. It seems really fun.
Don't.
Yeah, like, it's one of those things I've kind of heard. Yeah, that it's just like it's gonna take over your life. Like, in order to, like, really play it.
Also the fandom, or not the fandom, the players. The fandom is fine. The players, however, are toxic motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Like, if you play League, it's fine if you have friends and you play as a team.
Yeah.
If you're just playing random matchups, though, you need to have a soul of stone.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you will get pulled into the toxic scum that is the average League player base. And I say this as somebody who played it for quite a few years.
Yeah.
At least 5 or 6. But, like, I've had so many friends who they watched Arcane. And then, they like Arcane, and since they get into Arcane, I then introduced them to Riot's Music Center. And then they're like, oh man, now I kind of want to play League. And I'm like, no, you don't.
No, you do not. Get out of there.
No, you don't. Like, first of all, the League lore is not the same as the Arcane lore. And to to my knowledge, they also keep changing. Like Ash and Tryndamere were married, and then they weren't married anymore, but they're back to being married. So, and I don't mean they got a divorce. I mean League just decided, oh yeah, no, they're not married. And I'm like, what do you mean they're not married?
They said never mind.
You
I
can't
don't
just
know.
keep changing backstories, but they do. They change backstory. Like Vi and Jinx. It used to be that like, which granted this was sort of like mostly theories, but it was theories that were hinted at and supported, that Vi and Jinx were sisters and they were both experimented on, and that's why Vi's tattoo has a 6, right? And Jinx was supposed to have a 7 or something. But yeah. And that Jinx was the older one. But now Arcane has come out, and Vi's tattoo is just Vi. It's not a 6. And even though, like, it very clearly in the original art and stuff is the Roman numerals.
Wait, hold on. Because in Arcane, I think it is the Roman numeral as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on.
I can't remember for sure.
Yeah, it is the Roman numeral. Because I sat there when she was,
yeah, but like
showing me the tattoo, and I was like, why 6? And then, like, I thought, I was like, oh, it's Vi. I was like, Vi does seem like the type to get a Roman numeral and be like, no, it's my name.
But the original thing was that there were like it was theorized that they were experimented on, and this is in part why like they are super powered because Jinx like zaps places. But now like Jinx is quite a bit younger than Vi, and the experimented it's not a thing really anymore. Also, the way Vi got her gauntlets in Arcane is not nearly as cool as the way she originally got her gauntlets in the League of Legends lore. But I think they changed it so that Arcane is now canon. And I'm upsetty spaghetti about that. I mean, I am and I'm not. I'm like, why could we just come on? The comic verse and movie verse for the MCU is different. Why couldn't we just leave the game lore and Arcane lore separate too? Oh, Arcane Season 2's trailer came out, though. I'm not going to watch it, but the fact there's a trailer means there's Season 2 coming.
In November, I think, is when they said the release date was. Because I didn't look at the trailer, but I scrubbed through it to see if I could see the date.
Where's the number? I want to see if, because there are theories supported by certain things in Season 1, which I will be vague in a way that won't spoil for Tina, but any other League fans could get, that Warwick was in Season 1. And I want to see if what people think is going to be Warwick is Warwick, because I would love that. That would also be a great departure from the game, though. In the game, Warwick is like this werewolf monster who is hunting down this fawn lady from the moon.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and definitely that's not what he would be in Arcane. But there's like people think that there was a wolf howl at the end of the last episode, or there is toward the end of an episode there is a wolf howl, and it's like I went to go hit play for the sprints, but I'm on the video for still here. I started the timer.
Not.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go. And remember, if you want to see the thing, I shared it. Hello.
Hello.
How did everybody do?
I continued chugging away at the playlist. What I'm doing is so I have a party of 6. I say like I'm a host.
I mean, technically you are.
I mean, in a way, Dungeons and Dragons party of 6. And what I'm doing is they're all having individual fights at the same time, and so I'm doing like 10 songs for each of their PCs and then compiling it into one big playlist.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I like to do what I can to set the combat mood when possible.
I set out to ink 2 panels today, and I did those 2 panels, and then I needed to lay on the couch because my head was hurting a bit, and then I realized it was because of caffeine withdrawal, so here's some iced tea.
I also found a blanket that I can now hide under.
Yeah, I have my
I
blankety sweater.
listened to and watched Still Here, and then I read more. Also, RP, when you tell us how you did, please tell me how much you need to do, like where you're at in your overall progress. I'm on page 198 now. My goal is to get to 294. I have to read 120 pages a day to finish all the books by the end of June.
Damn.
RP filled his water bottle and revised 6 pages.
Nice.
I'm gonna fill my water
you're
bottle.
page what out of what now? Also, we have a fox who magically appeared, and he would like to know, is Matt sitting on the floor and living his freshly moved bum life?
I am sitting on a couch, but the couch is the same color. The couch is the same color as the wall, so it's kind of hard to tell.
Also, Matt is quite long, so his legs are just up as if he is on the floor.
Yeah. Because honestly, this is the most comfortable way in the world to sit, I think. There's
RP
just
is
not
on
always
page,
room for it.
Yes. RP is on page 201 of 214. Yes,
Damn.
almost there.
Nice.
So close.
Rowan, only 150, but I'm finally starting to be happy with this chapter. Nice.
Nice.
And also, I feel that, Matt, that's why I bought a chair that has a footrest that comes out.
Yeah.
But even so, my feet are still currently propped up on the top of my desk.
I cannot sit somewhere without like bending at least one leg up under me. Even if like
Same.
one's on the floor, I'm gonna bend that other one up.
Fox would like to send you an interior decorator or a can of paint.
No. See, well, you don't understand. There's pillows.
They just
See,
put them in between your couch and your wall.
I could. Well, and I have artwork
Like
that's
right
gonna go.
behind you.
Yeah, I have artwork that's gonna go up
Oh,
here to break up the
I
white.
mean-
It's just not hung up yet.
I mean, just for tonight.
Oh,
See, there you go.
it's also kind of comfy.
Now you look like you're on a bed.
Yeah, I was about to say, you look like one of those, like, you know, those, it's usually like commercials where it'll have like a person standing, but they look like they're in bed because they've like put the blanket and the pillows, and then they'll like start walking and like go about their day and they're still like, you know, the set moves around them.
Look at
You
me.
look
It's
like
I'm
either
so
that
cozy.
or it's either that or he's about to talk about the family dinner and then he's gonna die and it's our whodunit. This is our whodunit.
Yeah.
You sound so excited about that. Fox says next stream he expects to see some artwork. Or said artwork.
Well, if I'm still set up here, because I'll probably be back in my bedroom next time we have a stream. My bedroom is just filled with boxes, as is the rest of my house, but this is an empty wall.
which means next stream we expect to see your laptop on a box and stew on more boxes. Everything's just boxed in. You also have to use part of a box as your blanket.
Yeah.
Speaking of almost done, Sam, how do you structure your beta reader questionnaire? Like, do you have particular questions and ask them in a particular order? I do. Any advice for beta reader questionnaire stuff for someone who hasn't dealt with it before? Okay, so typically, well, first you have to decide, because you're doing a novel, so you got to decide if you're going to do it chapter by chapter or like in sections. I would definitely always recommend to do it in sections, never like the whole thing at once. I would say like 3 chapters max. Generally, because even readers with like really good comprehension and who remember fine details and stuff, after 3 chapters in a row, things start to get murky, chapters start to run together, right? And like, I speak as somebody who was a beta reader for a novel that went chapter by chapter, and I did like 3 in a day, and then after that, things started like running together, and I had to wait till the next day. But questions I typically have are, I first ask them if they enjoyed the piece. And the reason I ask if they enjoyed it is because if they did enjoy it, they might be softer in their feedback or more forgiving. And if they didn't enjoy it, they might be harsher, or they may miss some things just because if they're not enjoying it, the level of apathy can be a little higher. And when you're apathetic about something, you don't notice or pick up on as much stuff in general. And this isn't like, to be clear, this is not me shit talking beta readers at all. This is just knowing how people work is important to knowing how to interpret feedback. And also, this is like a typical generalization. Not all beta readers fall under these. But just in general, it helps for you to be able to see if feedback may be tinted one way or the other, right? And then I will ask them, good night, Rowan.
Good night.
So first I ask if they enjoyed it. Then I ask about characters. Like who was their favorite character? Who's their least favorite character? What did they think of this character? What did they think of that character? And I'll go down and get their thoughts on each characters. And then some people break it up by scene. They're like, what did you think of this scene? What did you think of that scene? There's also, if you're looking for specific feedback in certain chapters, like a good All That Glitters question that I asked later beta readers was like, where do you think Eric's powers come from? Because I was getting some mixed feedback of people. If people picked up on the fact that he was merfolk, they didn't really question where his powers came from. But if they didn't pick up the fact that he was a merfolk, then they were questioning why he had magic at all, if it was tied to the fact that he was a hunter, if that somehow gave him magic powers. So then I would like start asking people, how do you interpret like where his powers come from and all that. If you want to know like what people are thinking of character motivations, so like I think a good way to summarize it is, first, did they enjoy the piece or not? Thoughts on their interpretations of characters, their interpretations of scenes, specific feedback you want to know about, and you can also ask them if there was anything, or what was their favorite thing, what was the thing they didn't like, do they think there's anything that can be improved on, do they think there was something you did really well. Then what else? What about you two? And would you like to beta for me again? That's always my last question.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's always good. Yeah, I mean, that pretty much checks a lot of the boxes that I've done for the questionnaire part.
Other stuff I would add, as far as the questions themselves, make sure they're phrased in a way that isn't leading one way or the other.
Yes.
You want to use neutral language in all of your beta questions. That's not even a writing thing. That's just a polling
Good advice.
thing. Yeah, just general polling knowledge.
You can also ask if they would be open to follow-up questions.
Yeah, for sure. You want to make sure that your beta readers are within your target audience, generally speaking. That's kind of who you want to target. They should know the genre and all that stuff ahead of time, to that way. Because I mean, if it's not a genre that they like, then their feedback's not very useful to you anyway. You also want to try to have a diverse sampling as much as you can. I also would recommend, depending on what sort of sample size you're able to get, kind of like what Sam said, you do them in batches. That way you're able to refine the process as you go and maybe adjust questions as needed. Those are the things I can think of off the top of my head to supplement. But yeah.
Because each thing of questions is like I have a very basic format, which if you want, email my author email and I can send you my template for beta questions that I usually have, but then add or personalize them as you need for whatever your work is going to be. And I have had a couple betas in the past who were like you ask too many questions, and I'm like, then don't beta for me.
Right, like then you didn't understand what being a beta is then if you think too many questions are being asked.
Because I gotta ask you about every character and every scene and all this other stuff.
I wonder if maybe having some sort of when you start having a beta reader dynamic with someone, having a little when you send the first chapter as a little disclaimer, disclaimer, I'm going to ask you about every single character. Keep that in mind. Or I'm going to ask many questions at the end,
I playfully said that because the two beta readers who did that was their third or fourth time beta reading for me. So I think they were more just teasing me than anything. But yeah, don't hold your ground with it, because you're the beta feedback is you need to know how readers are going to perceive things. So don't be afraid to ask 8,000 questions. Yeah. Also know that some people, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. This is not the way I just thought about it, because the way I just thought it. Okay, it is not that there is necessarily a wrong way to beta read. It is just that different people kind of interpret what a beta reader is differently. Yeah. From my understanding and knowledge, and from my putting it into practice, beta readers are readers who are giving me feedback from a reader's perspective. When you get beta readers from the writing community, a lot of them will still try to give you beta reader feedback from a writer's perspective, and that's still okay-ish. You just kind of gotta figure out how to enact that. Another thing I would recommend is, if you can, and if you're comfortable with it, ask somebody who has experience with beta reader feedback to kind of be a beta mentor. Yeah, I did that with Fox just recently. Fox basically, he let all of his betas know ahead of time. He was like, hey, Sam's going to see everything. I'm going to ask her. Basically, and that's what he and I would do, is that we would set up a time where I would open up his document and I would open up the beta feedback, and I would go through and I would read it, and then I would ask him his thoughts and opinions on it, and then I would give him mine, and we would discuss that, so he could kind of figure out if he was taking the feed. I don't want to say right, because it's if he was handling the feedback well.
Yeah. To sort of add to that, I personally, you by no means have to do this, but when I was going through the beta process, I did this. I truly would limit the amount of writers that I let. So I turned some people down because they were writers, and I already had a solid section of writers because writers are going to be the easiest people to find to beta read for you because they're going to be in those circles already.
Yeah.
But I turned down a few people that I knew were writers because I'm like, I already am going to get a bunch of writer feedback here. I'm really looking for reader feedback. And sometimes writers are not the best at giving that. Also, kind of what Tina was saying with like the disclaimer at the beginning, I would also recommend being fairly, which I would just type this up as like a template and send it to every beta. You don't need to customize it. But I would be very thorough of telling them exactly what your expectations are and what the process looks like. Just so, you know, yeah, exactly. That way no one's surprised. And then another thing that I remembered that is important is do your best to not be defensive to their feedback, because they're doing you a favor, whether they like it or not. Regardless, they're doing you a favor. They're getting nothing out of this, really. So the last thing you want to do is then be defensive. Be very polite with them, even if you, because like I had a beta that like their feedback was very unuseful. But I'm not going to tell them that. I'm just going to be like, okay, they're not someone that I'm going to ask to beta again in the future. Thank you for your time, though. I appreciate it. Moving on.
Yeah, and I will say that, and not that I think this is a problem, but also never, ever shit talk betas. Like, not publicly. I don't care how terrible they were or not. Just don't. Yeah. Just, it ain't nice. Like Matt said, they're doing you a favor and stuff, and really, people are gonna interpret your stuff. If anything, I have had some betas where, while their feedback was not particularly useful, knowing that some people were gonna interpret things that way, very useful.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I've had betas like say stuff where I'm just like, that's wild. But and I've told people, I'm like, I had a beta say this, but never named names.
Yeah,
like,
never name names.
Never name names. Be confidential about it, even if they do say something very outlandish.
I try to not quote word for word either, so that way, like, I always paraphrase. So they need context. He wrote this around All That Glitters. This is the other thing, is that, like, see, that's the thing where I like needed to follow up to see if I was lacking the context within the story, or if it just, like, if it just wasn't getting through to specific people. And I ended up deciding that it was better for Eric to just say, like, I literally added 3 words somewhere in like one of his lines of dialogue where he says he's a merfolk, and it is quite possibly my most controversial revision ever. Neither Matt nor Fox will ever forgive me for this. They both very aggressively informed me I should just let people be confused.
Let them be dumb.
But I've actually made a deal with Fox recently. I can't remember the details, but I told him that if he builds up the courage to actually speak to people and get them to sign a petition, I would take it out of All That Glitters. So
that's outstanding.
But I told him that he has to be the person to get people to sign. So we'll see what wins out. What if it's someone interested in the genre and trying it for the first time? I mean, that's fine then, because then you can see like how somebody, how a new reader to your genre will, you can see if your story is friendly to new genre readers.
I do think that's useful information for you to have, know about the beta going in, that, okay, so that way, like, say, I'm trying to think of an example, like, say you're writing a sci-fi and they've never...
I got the perfect example. So I wrote a story that it's a contemporary short story. It's called Not For Her. It will hopefully be on my website before Fox dies. It was supposed to go up this year. I don't know. May happened. Excuse me. But, excuse me again. Sorry, liquids. They make me burp. We all know this. Yeah, and one of the readers who, like, they really enjoyed the story, but they let me know right up front. They were like, I don't usually read contemporary or short stories.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay. So, and like, some of their biggest critiques were stuff like there wasn't a whole lot of world building exposition and stuff, and I'm like, because it's contemporary, that's not really a contemporary tends to not be heavy in world building. And then there were a couple other things that I was like, because it is a short story.
Right.
So but like, in general, their feedback was very useful, but knowing that they do not read a lot of short stories or contemporary let me take some of their criticisms that were like specific to that with a grain of salt. I didn't automatically dismiss them because I was like, do I need more setting?
Mhm.
So, but nobody else had those specific concerns. So I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's probably just that reader then. The other thing is like the rule of 3.
Mhm.
And it's, if somebody points something out and you don't necessarily agree with it, then you can like kind of put it in a, I call it my your mileage may vary category,
Mhm.
where it's like, this could be a them thing, it could be a me thing, I don't know yet. When it's 2 people, then it's kind of like you can still leave it in there, but like the moment you get that third person, you have to look into it.
Mhm.
Or at least that's my thing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
How do you balance target audience versus pulling in new people? I mean, really, because most of us have small platforms, we just beg. we go in all the writing groups. Well, how do you do it, Tina?
I don't beg.
I don't.
I'm like, you last stream were like, you should
said
go and
most
view
of
the
us.
webtoon because she's this much away from making money. And I was like, hey, just read it. Like, like,
First, I want to asterisk. I said most of us too. I didn't say all of us. But also, like, we go to whatever writing groups and stuff we're in, and we're like, hey, I'm looking for beta readers. Here it is, and stuff. So
No, as far as target audience versus pulling in new people, I mean, ultimately, every book has a target audience, right? Like, you know, so if I'm writing a horror story, I don't really care about people that don't like horror because they're not who I like. I'm not. It's not my job to try to convince people to like the genre that I'm writing in. I have a target audience. That's who my story needs to cater to.
Yeah, the target demographic.
Yeah, target demographic, exactly.
Eva likes to beta read wrong. I only read and give light feedback / answer questions from the author, usually saying where / why Dina. No, but that's like how you're supposed to beta read, in my opinion.
Yeah, they don't need super thorough answers from you because
because for me, the writer opinion or the writer assistance I get is from my critique partners. Like, that's their job. They're the ones who should be telling me, Sam, this sentence does not English the fuck woman. Or they're, I'm trying to think of something. Oh, or like, you can do better. This is Fox's most common thing. Fox looked at some of his feedback recently. He was like, damn, I was harsh this chapter. And I'm like, yeah. But yeah, they're the ones that like go through and help like with the big writer stuff where it's like, are my characters characterized right? Am I giving enough information? And like, from my critique partner feedback is where my big revisions, in my opinion, should come from.
Right.
And it's where like I have a shit ton that I need to add to chapters 1 through 3 based solely on the feedback from my critique partners, right?
Mm-hmm.
By the time I get to the beta reader part, it's just making sure the reader, like, that I'm speaking to the readers and that they're picking up what I'm putting down. And if they're not picking up what I'm putting down, I got to fix that. which generally for me just results in like small revisions here and there, not like super revisions.
Yeah, I personally have not which I've only had one beta process, but in that one beta process, I didn't have any large revisions come out of it.
Well, because if a new reader is struggling to understand because they're not familiar with the genre, I would not feel good about saying that's a them problem. Well, hold on. I need to know what you mean by new reader. Because, like, there are some genres, or, like, actually, I would say in all genres, there are stories that, like, I would not recommend to a new reader of that genre. But that doesn't mean that's the books, but, like anime. Right? I would not recommend JoJo to new anime fans.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, no, you gotta have some animes under your belt for JoJo. But like Pokemon, anybody can watch Pokemon. So like stuff like that. And for like sci-fi fantasy, Gideon the Ninth is a great novel, but I would not recommend it to like new readers.
You scared me for a second there. I thought you were going to say a great novel for new readers, and I was like, no.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
No. See, that's my point there.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not Gideon the Ninth's fault. Gideon is there for those of us who have been in the genre for a while. That's our jam. So, but when you're new to a genre, there's a lot of easy reads that can get you into a genre and help you become comfortable with the tropes and everything. And if you as a writer don't want to write to those new readers, you are not obligated to. You can write for the people who are already heavily immersed in your genre.
Right. Yeah, like as an example, like say you were writing like high fantasy or something, and you're writing for an audience that's into high fantasy. You don't want to then
So let's use the term epic fantasy.
Or epic fantasy. You don't want to spend a bunch of time explaining genre staples to an audience that's already read a bunch of epic fantasy, because you're kind of wasting their time. They kind of get it already. If you are writing for that target audience. If you're writing for a broader target audience, then maybe you do explain some of those genre staples. But
it's really where you decide what level you want to be.
what you want your audience to be, because not every story is like a crowd pleaser, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun. Beta mentor. Yeah. My betas took months the one time I've used them. I plan to pay my betas in the future. That's fair. Good advice, Matt. Oh, but not me. Fuck you too, Them. So your story is great, but me. Shut up, you suck. I'm gonna say this is very valid for you to say, as long as they don't hear you. Because I do that all the time, regardless of who sends the feedback. I'll just read it and I'll be like, "What the? Your face." So.
I've literally gotten feedback before where I get it and I go, "Oh, fuck off," and then proceed to follow the feedback and do exactly what they told me to do.
It's like, oh, fuck off. You revise your sentence.
Yeah, like you fix the structure here.
It's perfectly okay to be salty, as long as, like, I don't feel being salty is being defensive.
Yeah.
So, but begging worked for you? Beggars. I beg very skillfully. What's wrong with high fantasy? You got something against highness? Yeah, only lowness. No, it's... My brain is at war with the terms of high and low fantasy, because the accolades? No, the applicable use, the way in which these terms are applied are direct opposite to the way they are defined. However, as they are marketing terms, the actual use should be, yeah, I know the word, I just can't say it, I'm getting tongue-tied. But the yeah, you should use it the way that people are understanding it, because that's the marketing. But that's not how they're defined. Just kidding, I don't care. All my reply, shh, you sure? High fantasy is a lot of fantasy, low fantasy is a lot of contemporary. That is that is the way most people interpret it. However,
I was gonna say,
high fantasy just means does not take, or low fantasy just means does not take place on Earth. So low fantasy just doesn't take place on Earth. It just takes place in a fantasy realm, just a made-up realm. It doesn't have to have magic. It doesn't have to have fantastical creatures. It just doesn't have to take place on Earth. But a lot of people think high fantasy, they're like, oh, well, high fantastical elements, magic, fantastical races. And it's not wrong. It's just the pedantic in me versus the practical use. I guess that's what it is. It's the technical definition versus the practical use. And so I'm like, it should be used the practical way. But my brain just gets hung up. And I'm pretty sure my brain only gets hung up because I do have like a sub-threshold of OCD. And so that's like, I guess that's one of the triggers. Yeah, I know that I agree with you, Eva. That's what I was saying. Epic fantasy is long, though, not high. But for how Matt was referring to it, I'm pretty sure he meant more. See, that's the other thing. A lot of times when people say high fantasy, they mean epic fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's just because I speak Matt.
Yeah.
That's
Sam,
why
I meant epic fantasy.
Yeah. I don't hear those terms often, so when I hear low fantasy, my brain says, oh, so you're saying it's
honestly,
this is low-ranked fantasy.
I've heard other people say this as well, which is another reason I don't like the high and low fantasy terms, because because like I don't expect most people to know the difference between the two. So yeah, that's an assumption that gets thought a lot because it's rational that low fantasy equals bad fantasy, and it's like no.
It's also like playing on the like low and high art, which
exactly
has existed for a long time. So like that, see, like fading in, what do they call it? Like correlation of the terms.
Yeah, see, and then urban fantasy is low. Technically, urban fantasy would be high fantasy because it takes place on Earth, and therefore it has to have like high levels of fantastical elements to be fantasy. Otherwise, it's just contemporary.
So high fantasy does take place on Earth, and low fantasy doesn't.
Correct.
Huh. Interesting. I thought it was the other way around.
Maybe it is. Hold on. It's my dyslexia fucking me up. No, low fantasy takes place on Earth. High fantasy takes place somewhere else. See, Lord of the Rings takes place on Earth, and Tolkien thought that it was low fantasy, hated that it was labeled high fantasy. So low fantasy takes place on Earth. So yeah, urban fantasy would be low fantasy. I'm not a fan of urban fantasy unless it crosses over into sci-fi. That's fair. High fantasy has its own world. Bible takes place on Earth. Yeah, so Bible would be low fantasy. I apologize. Sometimes my dyslexia, I say the opposite of what I mean, and then I don't remember what I meant to say. And the dyslexia, it's storming, so. But yeah.
I think this is the most we've talked about writing in one of these in a long time.
No. Whenever Tina's around, we talk about writing a lot, as Fox loves to point out to me. Whether or not Tina's part of the conversation.
It's the month of Tina, which is funny because a lot of the times I don't have much to say when you guys get into the nitty-gritty of it, because like with webcomics, the beta readers are just the commenters. Like, if you comment on the comic, you beta read it, because I look at those comments and I'm like, yes, for the print version. Yeah. And Although most of the time, I just look at them and go, heh. But I need to put down my tablet. I've worked too much today. I'm gonna fry myself.
Fox said the Bible is low fantasy. You are here to fight people. Incredible. Someone gives him a chariot and a shield. The petition has one signature. Get ready, bitch. How has
It's my signature.
How did I know? Yeah, see, that's the thing. It is only important with marketing and publishing, which is not the same thing. So that's why I'm like, in practical use, you go. So just so everybody knows, June 30th at 10 in the morning Eastern, I will be hosting a live stream talking about genre expectations and when to bend them. Which, don't worry, I will have lots of notes, so I will not be getting them mixed up. But where I will kind of talk more about this, where when choosing what genre to pick for your book, you should go with reader expectation above all else. Because genre is only there for marketing. Genre is just there to help you find the audience that is going to read your book. So, yeah. That's true. Tina's presence in folks writing speak. We all know. Genres evolve, always fight them constraints. Exactly. And literally some genres exist purely for vibes. Like weird fiction, solely defined by vibes. Like, it's one of my favorite genres because of it. Wait, when is that stream? June 30th at 10 a.m. Eastern time. I should have the stream set up by Wednesday because that is the deadline. Currently, I just need a thumbnail that I have to request from Fox that he didn't know I needed until earlier or just now.
It's also Tina's birthday, so wish me a happy
Yes, it
birthday
is also
either
Tina's
before or after the stream. You don't even have to send it to me. Just say it out loud. Happy birthday, Tina. But if you would like to send me a message / comment wishing me
that
happy
is
birthday,
how I
that'd be
will
very nice.
open the stream. I'll have a screen that says it's Tina's birthday. Wish her happy
Tina's
birthday. I'll
Tina's
screenshot
Thank you.
all the birthdays. But yeah, it's at 10
I'm turning 30.
a.m.
It's a big deal.
She is. She's turning 30 and her birthday's the 30th.
Yeah, I know, right?
Even the happy birthday, read this later.
It's kind of
I'm gonna
cheating.
screenshot that.
Gatekeepers can organize their home libraries and leave the rest of us alone. Exactly. Also, note that a lot of genres have like crossover traits, and there are some genres that are literally almost the same thing, but the different names sound like appeal to different audiences. So, at least in my opinion, they're the fucking same thing. Well, what do I know?
I just
And
realized. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it's kind of cheating, but all three of us have our birthdays on the 30th of our respective month. Because me and Sam both have the same birthday on the 30th, but Tina's also on the 30th. Just of June.
30 and flirty.
The best days.
What a day.
Correct. That was our unpublished, well, my unpublished series was Urban Fantasy. By the way, for those who don't know, this is Rue. Well, his name is Ryan. I call him Rue. He was my co-author for my unpublished novels. So, me and Matt are August 30th, so we often do, like, my birthday stream will also be his birthday stream. Mm-hmm. And then Tina is June 30th.
Last day of Pride Month, anniversary of Little Nas X coming out. Sailor Moon's birthday.
I'm not sure it's gay. Well, Eva, I'm sure, was talking, because there's like some very strongly opinionated people about genre, and the only people who have rights to be are romance readers. I kid. Nobody should gatekeep their genre. That's interesting. Dates are fun. And happy birthday, yes. Some Sam, Matt, Tina, Lore 30s. You dare invoke Rue? I'm not calling you Seraph Dragon. It's too late for that. You've been Rue for fuck how many years? How old is my oldest? 13 years, motherfucker, you've been Rue. It's gatekeeping. It's keeping a gate. Yeah. There are some people who will just be like, well, like I literally have had friends who wrote high fantasy stories that just had no magic, but otherwise they were high fantasies, and they called it high fantasies. And people would be like, that's not a high fantasy, it's a historical romance. And I'm like, dude, tell me how it's historical when it does not take place on
History.
Yeah.
Could you
Motherfucker,
tell me?
where do you expect these people to show up?
Could you tell me where in history the elves negotiate peace? Actually, leave the review and move on. Yeah. No, just Drew is fine. Cool. But yeah, Rue, the ancient seraphim dragon. That's what Fox said. Oh, we need to do one more sprint. Well, we don't need to, but I want to read, so.
I still have a couple playlists to make, so that works.
I'll probably lie down.
Oh,
Honestly.
so I was going to say, so what Matt is saying is we don't need this last sprint. He's perfectly fine.
What? No. I said the opposite of that.
I just like how long that took you to click.
Like, hold on. Oh.
All right. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. I hope you feel better, Tina. I may have had silk here on me. I didn't get anything done because I was talking to people.
I continue to chug away at the playlists. I'm almost done.
Nice. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Eva. I mean, same. On my 16th birthday, my second cousin died. So to this day, I won't go on Facebook on my birthday because there's a bunch of memorial and condolence posts. So we're probably meant to be friends, Tina. I don't know if you heard, but June 30th is also the anniversary of a doggo death for Eva.
Mm. It sucks.
So what did you get done? Did you rest?
I did in fact lay down on the couch, but I also did my Greek lesson for the day and played some Pikmin and tried not to fall asleep and was only mildly successful.
I misheard you and I thought you said your grief lesson.
No, wrong. That was what Eva was talking about.
Look, that's why I was gonna be like, how coincidental. But then I was like, oh, she said Greek. She meant her duo.
No, I don't actually use Duo. I use
Trio.
No, it's called Mango, so we're not so far off. But it's free through my library, and Duolingo was annoying me with its streaks, and I was sick for a weekend, and I didn't have enough freezes, and I lost I think I had a year's worth of streak.
Oh damn!
And I was so mad that I quit for a while, and then it was a thing of, I think I saw on TikTok or something that someone was like, look at language stuff in your library, and I was like, I should. And then my library was like, here's an app that would not be free, but because you're through the library, it's free. It's been nice because it's much more like your traditional repeating the words and not so much gamified, but it does track your streaks, and I find I actually absorb the info better.
Mm-hmm.
RP said 6 more pages, 207 of 214. Nice.
Yes, you're so close.
If you don't get the other 7 pages done before Wednesday, I'll be there for you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and close this down because we're at 3 hours.
Matt's already fallen asleep.
Look, I can't be streaming somewhere this cozy. I got to get back to a desk pronto because this is too nice. Got pillows. I can just lounge.
All right, well, Whip Wednesday, this Wednesday is on my channel. Sam's Writing Work Shift should also be on my channel. So I actually plan on doing writing on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Nice. Coincidentally, the 3 days I stream.
What are the odds?
So I'll finish on Wednesday during the stream. Nice. Well, I will catch you all later. Bye.
Goodbye.